Lesson 1, topic, graphing quadratics. Learning target, I can graph a quadratic function in standard form. Just going to jump right in. So graph the function y equals 3x squared minus 6x plus 2. I'm just going to write our standard form above that. So that for part 1 we can label our a, b, and c. Our a is 3 in front of the x squared. Our b is negative 6. Please take the sign with a number. And our c is 2. Next step is to find and graph the line of symmetry. Remember, the line of symmetry is the vertical line that splits our graph in half. So we have x equals the opposite of b over 2a. So we just plug in our values. So we have the opposite of b is negative 6, excuse me, over 2a. Well, that just means 2 times the value of a, which is 3. So we're going to do 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, so I can put 6 on the bottom here. Now we can use order of operations, do negative 6 divided by 6, which is negative 1, and take the opposite of that, which is positive 1. Or if we need, we can always use our calculator. And we can type in the opposite of negative 6 divided by 6 equals 1, either option. So our line of symmetry is x equals 1. Which means it's a vertical line through the point x equals 1. So our x-axis is here, 1 is right here, so our line is going to go through this point up and down. And I like to make the line of symmetry dashed because it's not our actual line that we're graphing. Now we can find and plot the vertex. So the vertex is going to be when x equals 1, we need to know what does y equal. And how we figure that out is by plugging 1 into our original function. So we have y equals 3. Instead of x, I'm going to put 1. Square that, minus 6. Instead of the x, I'm going to put 1 plus 2. Now you can evaluate this using order of operations or by using your calculator. So we can type that in, 3 parentheses 1. To square something, we will use this button right here. Put a 2 there because we're squaring it. Minus 6 in parentheses 1 plus 2 equals negative 1. So when x is 1, our function's value is negative 1. So that's going to be our vertex, 1, negative 1. I'm going to plot that point on my graph. And that is going to be our middle point because that allows symmetry in our table. So then I can put 0, negative 1 on the left, 2 and 3 on the right. I can fill in 0 with its value of 2 because that is my y-intercept, and remember our y-intercept is always 0, c, so it becomes 0, 2. And due to symmetry, it's going to be the same point there. So I can put that on my graph, 0, 2, and 2, 2. And then just to make sure we have a nice representation of our parabola, we want to get one more point, so we can use our calculator. I'm going to plug negative 1 into my function. So I'm going to do 3 parentheses negative 1. I'm going to square that. Minus 6 in parentheses negative 1 plus 2 equals 11. So to get that, all I did was take negative 1 and I put it in for the x values of my function to get my y value. So then I know negative 1, 11, and 3, 11. So it's a little off the graph. That's okay. It helps us get a better representation for our parabola. So that is how we graph a parabola or a quadratic function. We got one more example here. Graph the function y equals negative 1/4 x squared plus 3x minus 2. Label your a is negative 1/4. Your b is 3, and your c is negative 2. Find and graph the line of symmetry. X equals the opposite of B. B is 3 over 2A. So 2 times negative 1/4. To solve this, I'm going to use our graphing calculator. So we have the opposite of, and then I'm going to get a fraction. So to get a fraction, we hit alpha y equals, enter. I'm going to put 3 on the top, and then on the bottom, we had 2 times negative 1/4. So 2 times, and then negative, I need another fraction, so alpha y equals, enter, 1 over 4. Close that parenthesis, and then I press enter, and I get my answer of 6. So please use your calculator to help you. It's meant to make your life easier. So we have x equals 6 is our line of symmetry. So I'm going to count out 6 on my x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is right here. So then I'm going to draw that vertical line through x equals 6. Then I'm going to find and plot the vertex. So I know x equals 6. I need to figure out what y equals when x equals 6. So y equals negative 1/4. Remember, I'm plugging in 6 into my function where I see x. So I'm going to put 6 here, square it, plus 3 times 6 minus 2. Again, I'm going to use this calculator. I'm going to type that in. We have negative and get it 1/4, that fraction. And then in parentheses 6 squared, there's your x squared button. And then we have plus 3 times 6 minus 2. Enter, we get 7. So my vertex is 6, 7. I'm going to plot that on my graph right there. And then I'm going to make my table with my points. So I'm going to do 5 and 4, 7 and 8. I always just do numbers around that vertex right there. So I'm going to plug 5 in, and I'm going to plug 4 in to my function. So I have negative, get a fraction, 1 over 4. Instead of putting 6 in, I'm going to put 5 in. So I'm just copying what I did above, but with my next x value. Once I have it all, press enter, and we get a fraction. And that's going to happen because we have this 1/4, because we put in an odd number instead of an even number. So now I'm going to change that, and instead of putting 5 in, I'm going to put 4 in and see what value I get. And I get 6. So instead of using 5, I'm going to use 4. So sometimes that happens. You get numbers and you're like, those aren't really nice to graph. So I'm going to change this to 4 and 2. And then I'm going to do 8 and 10. I'm going to count by 2s. So when I put 4 into my equation, I got 6 out. So that would be the same if I put 8 in. So just be careful when you plot that, though, that you go over 2 in your graph. So I've plotted those two, and now I'm going to get my next values. I've got negative 1 over 4. Parentheses, I'm going to put 2 plus 3 times 2 minus 2 equals, I get 3. So 3 and 3. So I'll plot those two, and then I have my parabola. And that is how you graph parabolas or quadratic functions. Please move into your practice.